I've written a short young adult novel titled Amani that explores fate and class in the Egyptian society through a pick-your-own adventure plotline that follows three girls over 17 years.
My capstone is a literary study of a text from 17th century Egypt. It argues that the text has an encyclopedic structure despite its short length.
My capstone is a visual body of works that explores artist's flow and the spiritual space that can be found through the creative process, which is represented through the female body and the female experience.
My capstone is a series of mixed media works that explore themes of fragility and complexity. These artworks probe how we give meaning to embodied experiences and explore the mental and physical powers our bodies hold.
My capstone investigates the relationship between oil production and art sectoral employment growth, and it models that relationship at both the national level using GCC data and at the state level using US data.
My capstone is a multi-channel sound installation focusing on water, sound, touch, and the environment, called Narrated Liquid Contaminants.
My capstone is about observing the perceptual competition between musical notation processing and letter processing.
My capstone is a crossover between psychology and interactive media. It's a projection-based installation where the user is the protagonist of the narrative that is thematically focused on mental health awareness.
For my creative writing capstone, I wrote a collection of poetry derived from found texts and voices that explore the context of diasporic Palestinians in the Gulf.
My capstone is going to be a virtual exhibition consisting of artworks relating to the notion of serendipity, luck, and chance.
My visual art capstone sheds light on Marathi women identity and experiences through a historical lens.
My visual arts capstone is an exploration of the interaction of light and color within a private space.
My capstone is the first chapter of a single-player 2D adventure puzzle game about the afterlife, moving on, faith, and gods.
My capstone project is focused on notions of authenticity in traditional Hungarian folk music involving vocal performance. My project has an audiovisual and a written component.
My capstone is an interactive immersive dance theatre piece about the folklore from Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm looking at how to preserve oral tradition.
For my capstone, I'm analyzing the institutional history of the Galleria Nazionale in Rome in the context of alternative curatorial approaches to permanent collections of modern and contemporary art.
My capstone delves into the subject of distributive educational justice and questions if prohibiting people from privately investing in their own children's education could ever be justified.
My capstone is a screenplay about a woman coming home and reflecting on her relationship with the place and people.
My capstone project is going to be an autobiographical stage song cycle on the theme of departure. It will capture different moments of departure in my life.
My capstone is a script and live performance exploring relationships set in an enlarged space and over a fragmented timeline.
My capstone is the first draft of my multimodal novel 2, which explores an alternate version of Abu Dhabi where the buildings choose which residents stay and which ones leave.
My capstone is a short film following a day in the life of an Indian high school student and a Pakistani taxi driver in Abu Dhabi. It explores the themes of belonging, identity, masculinity, and migration in the Gulf.
My capstone is a documentary film that explores the dichotomy of tradition and modernity in my hometown of Taipei.
My capstone is a short narrative film which follows two teenagers as they navigate their feelings for each other. The film comments on the conditionality of relationships that seem innate for third culture kids and their bittersweet familiarity with goodbyes, especially in this time of COVID.
My capstone, Tamarbuta, is an installation-based performance that looks at the idea of belonging by creating fictionalized, hyper-stimulated futures of the places I call home.
My film capstone tells the story of two individuals of different socioeconomic backgrounds that develop a relationship through karak.
An exploration of trauma and the process of healing, as well as the ways through which I've both lost and regained my sense of autonomy. My capstone uses tattoos as an extended metaphor to redefine what it means for a body to be marked.
My capstone is a semi-ethnographic documentary which follows three domestic workers on their day off in Abu Dhabi. The film attempts to capture the dualities of love and longing, community and separation that permeate the lives of migrant mothers.
My capstone is a cookbook accompanied with an augmented reality app that attempts
wanted to document my grandmother's stories and teach users how to cook her Taiwanese and Hakka dishes.
My first capstone is a bioinformatics project where I build a breast cancer screener to classify breast cancer cases to controls using machine learning. My second capstone is a short story collection about my own theories of the afterlife, interlocked with themes of narrative, fantasy, and vulnerability.
My capstone is a conceptual artwork in the medium of 3D animation, which questions our modern consumption habits and attempts to humanize our inhumane relationships with the disposables by envisioning a human body as a plastic commodity.
My capstone this year is a fun network program between 2 users and an algorithm called the Mishra's algorithm.
I am writing a novel about an arrogant but well-intentioned young backpacker whose adventures humble her and teach her how to serve others skillfully. The story questions how to write travel narratives in a responsible and anti-colonial way.
My capstone is an interactive theatrical piece that takes place on WhatsApp. Taking Shaheen Bagh as its point of investigation, it's a piece about meeting each other through dislocation and forced temporariness in a pillow fort.
Bodily Particles is a site-specific installation that provides a looking glass into the deadly world of microscopic air pollution.
My capstone addresses the definition of hurufiyya, or the use of the Arabic letter in modern Arab art, in an attempt to discern the nature of the phenomenon in the 20th century, as well as understand the reasons for the widespread popularity among artists across the Arab world.
I am doing the first cinematography capstone. My project consists of an independent reel, as well as 2 short narrative films, both of which explore the matter of social disconnection, as well as the experiences of expatriates within and outside of the UAE workplace.
My capstone project is an exploration of Oceanian post-colonial identity and indigeneity through a literary analysis of Satenjan and Dan's The Wounded Sea.
For my capstone, I'm making a series of 3 short films that explore the intersection between self-referential cinema and modernity.
Using memory through oral testimony, my capstone looks at the 1970 Black Power movement in Trinidad and Tobago, and argues that it was both a transnational exercise in shared blackness, but also developed in ways that were very specific to the complicated Trinidadian Black experience.
My capstone is a short fiction film that deals with the concepts of connection and disconnection. The pandemic has brought into our lives a different way of connection through online interactions. My film tells the story of a young woman who comes to Abu Dhabi to study English and tries to find a friend in an online classroom. But little does she know is that in-person interactions as well as online connections fail to load sometimes.
I'm exploring the role of participatory theatre in creating spaces of agency and narrative building for sexual violence survivors in Kathmandu, Nepal.
My capstone explores how junk, trash, and waste come to life in Star Wars, arguing that the science fiction franchise advocates for an eco-politics of survival.
My capstone is about the performative aspects of the Japanese tea ceremony, Chanoyu, and how tea is a living tradition in contemporary art and life.
Hello, my capstone is about the philosophical theory of indoctrination. It has a special focus of the ethical dimension of the phenomenon.
I'm from Dubai, United Arab Emirates.
It's just a weird kind of day. It's almost there, but it goes on, right?
I mean, I finished today, and then I'll leave it to rest for another day.
Presented last night, so I feel so